The shooting death of United Healthcare CEO has gripped the nation and sparked a passionate conversation about the health insurance industry in this country.
Yeah, the alleged killer, Luigi Mangione, is facing murder and terrorism charges, and he's pleaded not guilty. We want to bring in lawyer and former prosecutor Mary David. She joins us now with the latest on this case. Mary, can you tell us a little bit about, it's so unusual for him to be charged both federally and at the state level, isn't it?
Well, so having federal and state charges is not especially rare, but what is rare is for murder to be charged at the federal level. Typically, that is a state handled case, but here, where there were different offenses that are being alleged, the crossing of state lines, federal authorities really wanted to weigh in on this as well and had the case for that go forward too.
So let's talk about jury nullification, because both sides have really interesting points, and this has received so much media attention. On one side, is it possible to find 12 jurors in New York who have not had a bad experience with the health insurance industry? And on the other side, how have these comments by public officials like Mayor Eric Adams contributed to the publicity in the case and to possibly the perception of jurors in this case?
Well, there are two different issues here, because getting a jury pool for the state case is going to be different than at the federal level. At the state level, you're really looking at specifically just Manhattan. At the federal level, that also includes the suburbs as well. And so in that case, they're able to look at social media and see what people are saying. As far as at the state level, they are just going to be really stringent on that voir dire to just try to get the most unbiased jury pool, because what they don't want is for jury nullification, where outside of the evidence of the case, people just enter a verdict based on what they think should happen, speaking to a larger policy issue.
But even outside Manhattan, I mean, does any American not have some sort of experience with the health insurance industry or feelings about it?
Well, a lot of people do have issues with that. I think it's important to remember that it's one thing in the larger scheme of things when it's just an idea to have that influence your verdict, but jurors really do take their role very seriously. And when you're sitting there looking at the fact that this is someone's life, both as the victim but also this defendant before you, they really do take that quite seriously. And while there are a lot of issues with the healthcare industry, I think what prosecutors are really going to focus on is the fact that there are specific offenses that have been charged, and there's a lot of evidence here, so they really need to stick to the facts of what happened in this case and really personalize the case to Brian Thompson to take it out of that larger sphere.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same time, right? We can be mad at the healthcare industry and we don't kill people. Like that, both can be true. I do think that the publicity in this case has been just insane when you look at it, right? The perp walk that goes on forever and ever and ever. I mean, are officials going to have to be careful here moving forward of how they proceed in this case and how people take that?
I do believe that is something to be aware of, and I think that Mangione's attorney really raised that yesterday at the court appearance of saying it's making it harder to find an unbiased jury pool when you have so many images out there floating that portray him already as guilty. So that is also going to be preserved for both raising constitutional issues as well as at the appellate level.
He may appear guilty, but you also have like 24 women showing up at court and the entire internet talking about how hot he is. So, I mean, both things, again, can be true at the same time.
Both things can be true, and I think that actually it really did sort of rally his support around him and sort of inciting that feeling of this is unfair. So I think that is something that federal officials and state officials are going to kind of pull back from going forward.
And going back to the federal and state prosecutions that are happening simultaneously, he's charged with terrorism at a state level. Can you explain that and how unusual that is?
He is charged with terrorism at the state level, and that actually creates an extra burden for prosecutors here because the charge is in furtherance of terrorism committing this murder. And so typically with a murder charge, you don't have to prove motive. But in this case, for the terrorism charge, you would have to show that the purpose behind this was really to further some sort of policy change on a larger scale. And here, where there doesn't appear to be any direct relationship between Mangione and the victim, the writings and everything else will really further that charge, and it does allow this to be charged as a first-degree murder because of that.
Oh. So interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for being here to break this all down
Yeah,
for us this
thank
morning.
you.
Of course.
It's a complicated case.
It is.
We appreciate your time.
Yeah,
Thank you.
absolutely.